parentheses, delusions of denial. Hurricane Helene was a literal storm. It traumatized our CSRA, upended our lives in profound ways. We can still see the aftermath of the hurricane on this campus, in this chapel, and on this city. But what is invisible are the emotional scars inflicted upon our region from the loss of so much that was near and dear to us. There are things that can never be replaced. And Trump MAGA 2.0 is a storm. It is the modern manifestation of principalities and powers hell-bent on destruction and division. This storm doesn't care who it leaves in its wake. This storm, better known as Project 2025, is determined to take this nation back to a period of unchecked structural racism and state-sponsored terrorism in the interest of white supremacy and monopoly capitalism. This storm seeks to wrestle power away from the many and place it in the hands of a few oligarchs. But I stopped by Gilbert Lambeth Chapel today to deliver this message to the White House and every other house that we are going to make it. We're gonna make it. Paine has survived all the other storms in 143 years, and we're going to survive and thrive again. The story of Paul and the prisoners is very instructive, and I wish I had time to talk about it. But what you need to know is that they were held captive on their way somewhere. They didn't know what would happen along the way, but they encountered a storm that literally rocked their world. And they were, because they were prisoners, those who held them captive didn't quite know what to do with them, because they were sworn by office to make sure that none of them got away. So rather than let them get off the ship, they had planned to kill them all. Yes, but God had another plan. You know the story. They were rocking and reeling from the storm, and they hit some places that obliterated the ship, and it broke up into small pieces. And as I read this text, Reverend Benjamin, I find in here a story of survival that speaks about Paine College. This is how the passengers slash prisoners on the ship made it, and how we can make it. They had, first of all, a good reaction to the tempest. You see, the tempest is the wind that blows. Yes, and before the storm really rocks you, you feel it before it comes. Right. The wind began to rock them. The tempest became so fierce. They felt the force, and it's natural for us when we face storms to respond to force with like force. Yes, sir. But it is imperative for us to use a different kind of force. Our power is not in fists and guns. You know Newton's third law of motion. Where are my physics majors in here? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And in life, there is a natural reaction to storms when they come. But I want you to know that the force that we have is much different than the adversaries. That's right. Dr. King reminded us that we have to use what he liked to call soul force, which was a way of describing the endurance of cruelty and violence without retaliation. That's right. Dr. King believed that soul force would ultimately overcome physical force and political force. Right. Dr. King said, when evil men plot, good men must plan. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. When evil men shout ugly words of hatred, good men must commit themselves to the glories of love. That's the kind of soul force that we have at our disposal in the moment and in the midst of the storm. And sometimes, beloved, you have to ride out the storm, not passively, but with controlled aggression. The reaction to the tempest is force. The reaction to the wind is soul force. It is a moral force and a spiritual power at our disposal. We're going to make it because we know how to react to the tempest. Secondly, we have to have a good response to the turbulence. You see, turbulence is chaotic motion. It is a disturbance and a distraction that does not stop. And the only way to respond to turbulence is to have focus. Yes, sir. You see, what causes damage is the chaos it wreaks upon its object. Chaos creates distraction. Yes. You see, what our adversaries want is for us to be distracted. What the current occupant of the White House wants is for us to be distracted by executive orders and political bluster and tweets. We've seen this movie before, and we got our popcorn, Junior Mints, Skittles, Milk Duds, Twizzlers, and we will not be moved. Paine has had some turbulence, but we're gonna be all right. We've had some distractions, but we're gonna make it because we're focused. I need some storm riders to go with me. Some folk who know how to handle turbulence and the disturbances of change. It might be a rough ride, but we're gonna make it, PC. And as the first assistant to the captain of the ship, I want you to know that I'm ready to ride out the storm. Because I've seen the lightning flashing. Yes, and I've heard the thunders roll. Sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But I heard the captain say, still to fight on, because he promised never to leave me alone. Our response to the turbulence is more hyper-focus on the future that God has for Paine College. Don't you be distracted, don't you give up, and don't be scared. And then finally, we're gonna make it because we got a good reply to the tumult. The tumult is the noise. Every storm comes with noise. There is clatter and clamor all around us, but we have to face the tumult. You can't turn from it. You can't ignore it. You've got to face it. You cannot fix what you will not face. The tumult can be deafening and debilitating, but you can't run from the storm. In fact, I want to suggest to you today that you need to talk to your storm. They may think you lost your mind, but you talk to that storm. You tell them that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. You tell them, if God be for me, who can be against me? You must reply like Greg O'Quinn replied, even though your winds blow, I want you to know, because you cause me no alarm, because I'm safe in his arms. Even though your rain falls, and I can still make this call, let there be peace. Yes. Now I can say, go away. I command you today. Because of faith, I have a brand new day. The sun will shine and I will be okay. That's what I told the storm. Brothers and sisters, speak to those storms, and they will soon dissipate and vanish. You have that kind of power because you have the soul force. It is the power that was with the founders in 1882. And if it was good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And as I close, if I've got the right reaction to the tempest, and I've got a good response to the turbulence, and I've got a correct reply to the tumult, I have the reassurance of tranquility. You have to use your faith. In fact, somebody said, faith it till you make it. Use your faith as your greatest power, because faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It was faith that led them in 1882 to see that this institution would be around in 2025. They had faith to believe that these students would overcome the adversity and challenges of life to walk across this stage and receive a degree from the Paine College. They had faith to know that a brighter world was coming because of the collaboration of people of like minds. They may have been born on different sides of the tracks, but they had the same mind. They may have come on different ships, but we're all in the same ship together. And thank God for the tranquility that we now experience. You know, I love Brother Luke, who is accredited with writing the book of Acts. Luke is a physician who likes to give you details.